Hi, today we're going to be talking about staying alert to changing themes. If you're in Miss Van Lieshout's class, you may be covering finding different themes in a story, so check out that presentation. This presentation is for Mr. Whitcomb's class, Day 3. Okay, it's good to quickly develop ideas about the theories and themes in our stories. However, just as we should stay open to not judging people too quickly, we should also take our time and remain open or receptive to and be alert readers who are open to revising our original ideas as the story goes on. So that just means that you might have developed a theory early on in the book, but you need to keep an open mind to that theory because it may change as you learn more things throughout the book. For example, I myself, my first impression of Miss Van Lieshout was that she was a little bit snotty and that she just, really had no reason to talk to me, let's say. But, of course, I kept an open mind because I knew I'd be working with her for the next year at least. And so I didn't, just say, forget it, I'm done, I don't like her. Kept an open mind, and fortunately for me, I was completely wrong. She's a very nice person, very sweet, and we get along fantastically. So, had I not kept my mind open to that, I wouldn't have another friend. So just like in your life, you need to do that when you're reading, or you might not get the full value of reading the book. As we read through our stories, we may find that our original ideas aren't true anymore. This happens because the text branches off into different plots and subplots. New conflicts arise, new characters enter the story, settings change, simply because the story suggests new ideas. When this happens, we should be excited because often the new ideas we discover change some of our initial ideas. The most important thing to take away from this is that readers need to be alert, paying close attention to when our ideas are proven true and when the evidence is forcing us to revise our original ideas or add new ideas. We expect to back up our ideas with evidence from the book, and we mark, collect, and ponder or think about moments in the text that support our ideas. So as new things come along and new things are happening, you need to stay alert and be aware that, hey, this might change what I originally thought. Watch how I read facts using evidence from an initial idea of what, to form an initial idea of what the story is about. Then remaining open to revising my thinking about as I encounter new evidence. It should be about facts as I encounter new evidence. So here's how it goes. You gather evidence early on in the story. I ask myself, what ideas does this suggest? And I kind of start forming a theory. I continue reading and looking at the evidence. And then I use the new evidence to say, first when I started to read this, I thought it was maybe about blank, blank, blank. But now as I read on, I'm finding it's also about blank, blank, blank. Okay, so, for example, Magpie really surprised me when she decided to go with Fox. At first, I thought this was a story about teamwork and how friends could overcome anything if they work together. But now that Magpie has gone with Fox, I think maybe this is about betrayal and broken friendships. Another example we could think of was, when Magpie went with Fox, I started to think that she and Dog would surely get back together and that this was a story about healing broken friendships. But now that Magpie is going home alone, did the story before we could witness the reunion, making the story really about how individuals need to work on themselves if they are going to have good relationships. So sort of, there wasn't that sweet reunion. The author's trying to point out that, Magpie needs to deal with her demons first. And our last example would be that when Fox came into the story, I really thought this was about trickery and how bad people profit from leading innocents astray. But now Fox has a cry of triumph or despair, which makes me think the story is more complicated than that. He wasn't just trying to break up the relationship. He wanted to teach Dog and Magpie a lesson about being alone. For Fox, being truly alone can only happen after you have been taken from someone you care for. At the end, Magpie chooses to take the long journey home. The word journey implies a lot of work, even danger. So now I'm thinking this is more about recovering from your mistakes and learning to move on. Or maybe even about how sometimes we need evil in order to help us see our faults and grow. There's several themes you could take from that, but definitely it's changed from the beginning. So let's review. You gather evidence early on in your story, and you ask yourself, what ideas does this suggest? And you formulate some type of a theory. Then you continue reading and seeking out evidence, and then with that new evidence, you want to answer this. First, when I started to read this, I thought it was maybe about, but now as I read on, I'm finding it's also about, or it's really about. This work may be easier with a story you know well and have already read. Look over evidence from the early part of your stories. Ask yourself, what else might this evidence suggest? Remain open to multiple interpretations. As you read your stories, expect to find new themes. Expect to revise your thinking about themes you may have already thought about. Don't wait until the end of the book to make up your mind. Seek evidence and stay alert to themes all the way through. You want to form those theories and themes right away. Off you go to do good work. Try to make a post-it on your book. If you're at the beginning of it, start formulating a theory as to how your characters are acting or what you think is the real story here. If you're at the end of your book, then talk about how you thought it was at the beginning and how it has changed. Bye.